There is a grown man in a Target parking lot at 7:43 in the morning. He got there before the store opened. He is not waiting for a sale on groceries. He is not picking up a prescription. He is there because Tuesday is reset day. And reset day means new Hot Wheels pegs. And somewhere in that fresh peg might be a super treasure hunt. A tiny die-cast car worth $60, maybe $80, hidden among $2 models that look almost identical to it. He knows what to look for, the slightly different finish, the real rider tires. He has a system. He has been doing this for 3 years. He is 34 years old. Most people who hear that story react with something between amusement and mild concern. They assume this is arrested development, a man who never fully grew up, clinging to childhood in a way that suggests something unresolved. That reading is not only wrong, it is almost perfectly backwards. To understand what is actually happening in that parking lot, you have to go back to a very specific window of time, not childhood in the abstract, a particular kind of childhood. One lived between roughly 1985 and 1999, in a world that was simultaneously booming and quietly fracturing. Millennials grew up in a landscape that looked stable on the surface. The Cold War ended when many of them were in elementary school. The news showed fireworks over Berlin. Adults around them exhaled. There was a decade-long stretch where the dominant cultural message, absorbed from Saturday morning cartoons, from scholastic book fairs, from the optimism of Oregon Trail in a school computer lab, was that things were getting better and would keep getting better. Progress was the background noise of that childhood. But underneath that, something else was running. These were children being raised during one of the most significant economic restructurings in American history. Downsizing became a corporate vocabulary word in the early 1990s. Fathers who had worked at the same plant for 20 years came home with boxes. The stability that the post-war generation had built, the pension, the 30-year mortgage, the single income that covered a family, was quietly being disassembled. Children absorbed this without having language for it. They saw it in the tension at dinner tables. They heard it in hushed phone calls. They felt it in the way certain conversations stopped when they walked into a room. At the same time, the objects of that childhood were extraordinary. The Hot Wheels car was not just a toy. It was a small, perfect engineered thing in a world that was starting to feel impermanent. It cost less than $2. It came in a blister pack hanging from a peg at Kmart, at Caldor, at Ames, stores that no longer exist. A child could hold it in one hand and feel its weight, die-cast zinc, real metal. It did not break when you dropped it. It did not need batteries. It did not require a subscription or an update. It simply was what it was, completely and permanently. There is a psychological concept called object constancy. The understanding that things continue to exist even when they are out of sight. Children develop this early, but there is a more complex version of this concept that extends into emotional life, the ability to hold on to a sense of stability even when the environment around you is shifting. For children who grew up sensing instability they could not name or control, certain objects became anchors. Not consciously, not deliberately, but neurologically, the brain was making associations. This object equals safety. This object equals a moment when things felt whole. Now take that child and run them forward 20 years. They graduate into a job market reshaped by the dot-com collapse. They are told to follow their passion by people who found their passion before the floor dropped out. They take on student debt for degrees that promise entry into a middle class that is quietly contracting. They reach their late 20s during 2008, when the financial system produces the largest economic crisis since the Great Depression, and watches as the concept of a reliable future gets repriced in real time. This is not background context. This is the wound that the collecting behavior is responding to. When a millennial adult picks up a Hot Wheels car in 2024, something specific happens in the brain. The object carries somatic memory, not just a thought or a feeling, but a full-body recall of a time before the weight of adult uncertainty arrived. Researchers studying nostalgia have found that it does not simply produce happiness. It produces a specific kind of psychological shelter. It temporarily reduces anxiety about the future by reinforcing a sense of continuous self. the feeling that there is a through line between who you were and who you are now. The past self was okay. That means the present self has evidence of surviving. But here is what makes the adult collecting behavior different from simple nostalgia. Adults who collect Hot Wheels are not passive. They are not just rewatching old cartoons or eating the cereal from their childhood. They are hunting. They are researching. They are learning metallurgy, manufacturing history, variation codes, case ratios. They are building expertise in something that has no professional payoff whatsoever, and that is precisely the point. In a labor market where expertise is constantly devalued by automation, where the skills that earned a promotion last year are obsolete next year, where remote work has erased the social architecture of the office, adult collectors are building a domain of mastery that cannot be disrupted. No algorithm can take away the knowledge of what distinguishes a 1971 mongoose from a 1972 mongoose. No company restructuring can erase the ability to spot a SpectraFlame red line in a mixed bin at an estate sale. The collection becomes a space of complete competence inside a world that frequently makes people feel incompetent. There is also a social dimension that is easy to miss. Hot Wheels collector communities are dense, specific, and highly ritualized. There are swap meets held in fairground parking lots. There are online groups where members post find-of-the-day photos with the same excitement that previous generations reserved for showing off their kids' Little League trophy. There is a language shared only by people inside the community. Case codes, treasure hunt abbreviations, the difference between a basic and a premium. This shared language creates belonging, and it creates the particular kind of belonging that millennials have found hardest to build in adulthood, the kind that does not depend on geography, income, or professional status. A collector with a 200-piece collection and a collector with a 2,000-piece collection stand at the same swap meet table and speak the same language as equals. This matters because millennial adulthood has been structurally isolated in ways that are underreported. They married later, they had children later or not at all, they moved more frequently, chasing work or affordability. The neighborhood as a social unit, the block, the cul-de-sac, the street where you knew every family, largely did not exist for them in adulthood the way it had in their childhood. The institutions that had organized social life for previous generations, unions, churches, civic clubs, had thinned out by the time millennials were old enough to join them. The collector community fills a specific social vacuum that most millennials would struggle to articulate but immediately recognize when they find it. Return to that parking lot. 7:43 in the morning. The man waiting for the store to open is not escaping adulthood. He is managing it. He has identified, through trial and error, a behavior that delivers mastery, community, nostalgia-based anxiety reduction, and the neurological reward of the hunt, all in a format that costs $2 at minimum and requires nothing from anyone else. He has built a system inside a world that has repeatedly demonstrated that systems fail. This one is entirely under his control. The Hot Wheels car is not a toy he never put down. It is a tool he picked back up because the adult world gave him specific reasons to need it. The weight of it in his hand is not the weight of immaturity. It is the weight of a very small, very durable thing in the hands of someone who has learned, through lived experience, that most things are less durable than they appear. What looks like a grown man playing with toys is actually a grown man who knows exactly what he is doing and why it works. The only people who find that strange are the ones who have not yet admitted what they picked back up too.